Hello folks, hello YouTube. It is quite a while, it's been quite a while since you have seen me on here. And a couple of weeks ago by now, I think, I mentioned that I'm gonna go live here and talk a little bit about the movement mentorship container. Now, you've seen me post a lot of incredible stuff here on YouTube regarding movement, regarding posture, regarding changing patterns, and really getting into a state of well-being, primarily focused on movement so far. And the question now is, what the hell is going on with this movement mentorship container? Now, despite my videos already being quite thorough, at least with regard to biomechanics and so on, there are still a lot of things that it just simply cannot typically touch on YouTube, or have not so far, because it would require a significant enhancement of the time spent in each and every one of those videos. And frankly, I also don't feel compelled to do that for this completely untethered audience. This is really something that makes much more sense for people who really want to go deeper into things, who want to understand themselves better, not just to fix something. This can be part of the equation, but also really to get a deeper understanding of how to positively progress in their life in the first place, way beyond what you might consider a regular life where you struggle from day to day. So the point is, and you've heard me say that briefly from time to time in my videos, that movement beyond the physical component of it can be and is an incredible tool to really enhance every single aspect of one's life. And not just by changing biochemistry in the body a little bit through workouts or anything like that, but really because it represents our patterns. It represents, to a large degree, even our emotional qualities, even the characteristics of our thought patterns. And there are ways how we can use movement very deliberately and consciously in order to improve, dissect where necessary, but most importantly, rather effortlessly change patterns that we might have been holding on to for quite a long time already. And this is exactly what this movement mentorship container is going to be about. It's going to be parts of what you know from my YouTube channel already, but first and foremost, it's going to be the enhancement of that. It's going to be not just what you can do physically, but how that physicality aspect translates into your emotions, translates into your mental well-being, into your ability to change habitual patterns, and how all of that, again, can be done quite autonomously by you. That's the most important thing of all of this for me. As you always know, I like to create freedom in and for people with whom I'm working with. Now, this mentorship container is a rather compact tool. It's quite elaborate in the sense that we will go through stretching, somatic stretching that is, where the goal isn't so much to get more flexible, but the goal is more to increase our ability to deal with any state in the body, to be first and foremost aware of that particular state. And then second of all, and beyond that, I'll stop here for a second, makes the camera less shaky. And then second of all, that allows you through that perception to take another step into actually adapting and changing the patterns that you perceive in yourself. We're also going to use movement hygiene elements, basically movement hygiene level 1 and level 2 as it's coined in my program so far. And we'll also touch on to some other movement aspects that I have not yet discussed in that way, especially the cross-link between the movement and the psychological, energetic, emotional components of our well-being and our state in general, right? And so the basic idea is really to take a rather complex topic and share it with a small group of dedicated and really interested people within that 2-month mentorship container that will allow all of you, first of all, to ask direct questions, to be supported by, again, a very small, compact, but powerful group of people. Powerful in the sense that we are all gonna do somewhat the same thing. It's gonna be individualized for all the people who are in there, and this will then also allow for you to get the thing that you cannot get on YouTube, which is personalized attention from me directly, and first and foremost, personalized attention to your current state of being and your current necessities, which is extremely important to really take steps into one's change based on where you are at right now, as opposed to just generalized advice. And this goes for both, for basic movement and learning fundamental movement patterns or biomechanically based movement patterns, but it also goes for, and probably more so even, goes for aspects that then cross-link into the emotional and into the mental aspects. Because let's face it, depending on our age, depending on where we are on our journey, depending on what our trauma patterns might have been in the past, depending on where we actually are, we have different requirements in order to move forward, in order to get to that next stage, to that next step of living more fulfilled, of living a much more enhanced life at our own terms. And that's the most important thing here. I mean, those of you who are on my channel for quite some time, you know that my main focus really is and always has been to facilitate freedom as much as possible. Now, obviously that mentorship container is not as open and free as YouTube, so there is an application process for that. So you'll have to get in touch with me directly. I put a link in the description down below. Get in touch with me directly if you have questions about that program. There is a lot of description about that on my webpage. I put the description down below. And you would have to get in touch with me directly in order to figure out whether or not this particular approach of how movement, consciousness, emotions, mind are interwoven and can be adjusted and adapted, how you can use movement to break habitual patterns and so on, whether or not this approach is something that is actually helpful or could be actually helpful for you at the point where you are at right now. In no way am I saying that this program is for everyone. It most certainly is not. It requires a certain mindset, and it requires a certain point in your life in order for this program to make any sense. But again, it's going to touch on to movement hygiene, it's going to touch on to somatic stretching, it's going to be including elements of resting and recovery, but it also has elements in there of how to reprogram habitual patterns. It has programs in there. It has programs in there of how to switch your life into a state of your choosing, which also includes a more thorough dissection of the life that you have right now based on movement patterns and postural patterns and habitual patterns that are displayed in movement and posture in that particular case. And now the more you dive into that, the more deeply you understand yourself through those exercises, then you'll have more ability to adapt and adjust the life towards the direction you actually want to live. Using movement is, in that particular case, is something that is not quite common. I know a lot of people use movement in the sense of fitness or in the sense of yoga or something like that. But what we're going to do is way, way beyond that. And it will also include tools and methodologies to really integrate that practice into your day-to-day life in such a way that whenever and wherever you are conscious with your body, you have the ability to actually bring that positive aspect of change and conscious deliberate action into the game in a way that allows you to optimize and support yourself on a step-by-step basis every single moment of your life where you have a spare second or a spare gram of energy in your attention and in your awareness. So it's an amped up version of what I've shared on YouTube so far already. But again, going much, much deeper, connecting the movement components with the emotional, with the psychological, with habitual patterns, and really bringing all of those threads together. Again, if you're interested in that, then check down in the description. I put the link to the website where you'll find information about this 2-month mentorship container. And if this speaks to you, if this is something where you think, okay, right now in my life, I could use a little bit of support in my movement, in my posture, and then also generally in my life, how I can use this very real, very palpable aspect of my body to enhance all aspects of my life simultaneously. So if that's something that is interesting for you, check out the link down below. If you have any questions, leave the questions to this video, and I'm gonna go live in a couple of days, in 2 or 3 days, again, to dive into that and address those questions that you might have. Again, in order to get into the program, it's an application process. That sounds so weird. It's not really an application where you have to write anything or anything like that. It's just you'll have to get in touch with me, and we have a short, roughly 20 to 30 minutes conversation face-to-face through whatever, Zoom, WhatsApp, or whatever, to figure out whether or not this program is actually something that is of help to you where you are at right now. Because that's the most important thing, right? There is no point for you doing something where chances of it helping you are slim. So that is something that I cannot anticipate beforehand. So we'll have a conversation about that and see whether or not you are at the point in your life and the program is designed in such a way that where you are at right now can actually be of support and can actually be of benefit. Again, the content of the program is going to be a mix of generalized methods, resting and recovery positions, movement hygiene level 1 and 2, little bit of developmental movements, some basic core that next stage where we interweave the movement component with the psychological component, with the breathing component, with the mental component, with the emotional component, where all of that actually flows together, weaves together into one cohesive thing that supports you. So a huge portion of that program, again, while parts of it are individualized, while parts of it are generalized, huge portions of that program are also going to be individualized. Group is very small, and obviously that allows for much deeper and much more precise work on your individual needs than anything you could possibly pull from YouTube. Because let's face it, if you are not a professional yourself already, sometimes you might not even know which questions to ask, which questions to put in the search box, right? And this is all contained within this program where we have conversations before and then see how that could kick these off. The program is designed officially to start beginning of September. The first live call is not going to be September 1st, but it's going to be somewhere within the next week. Again, if you want more information about that, click the link down in the description below. If you have any questions, then type them in the comment box, and I'll be happy to jump back on live here and answer any and all of those questions within the next 1 or 2 or 3 days, whenever there are questions that pop up. And again, if you want in, then reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to set up a call with you to discuss whether or not this is something that could actually be of benefit for you right now and how we could make that work. All right. I haven't seen a lot of you for a long time, so I hope you're all doing well. Take care. Have a lovely time. And close this down. Beastnet! Gonna close these all down and talk soon. Have a lovely time.